And right now, Haynes will be our starter, and Zach will be the backup right now. But like we had a great talk yesterday, I feel very comfortable with both guys. I think both guys can win and play well. I think both guys had an outstanding camp, and just the criteria of how we went through things. And we had a really good conversation about yesterday. That's how we'll go into this going into this first game, as we say. But like I say, those things are ever changing. I mean, you don't want them to change, but at the same time, competition and guys get better and how they play, and also the roles and what may be needed for each game.
All right, that is Jimbo Fisher on ESPN 97.5. It is the Go Hour with Olin Buchanan, but we start things off with Billy Liucci, executive editor and co-owner of TexAgs. Billy, the news came down this morning. You expected it, just your initial reaction to actually hearing it?
Nothing. I mean, you read yesterday what I said. I thought that it kind of had to be yesterday at practice that they started to shift those reps. I mean, there was no... Here's the thing, David, and that's the reason why I wrote it. Yes, in that practice or the weekly recap, there's no reason at this point. Haynes has been the guy. If people have been reading my write up, Zach's improvement level has been pretty phenomenal. Like the curve he's been on in terms of, I said he's probably one of the 5 most improved players on the team from last year to this year right now. But what's been going on is Haynes King won the backup job as a true freshman. Haynes also has done nothing but improve and get better since. Haynes' mastery of the offense was something that folks were talking about at this time a year ago. That was even in comparison to his senior in Kellen Mond. It's like, gosh, how quickly he learned this, turned heads and opened a lot of eyes and bright. It was a big part of why he won that job as QB2 last summer. So I said all along, sat there with you and said it was going to take kind of a Herculean effort, in my opinion, by Calzada or Haynes to kind of struggle to open camp, which was always on the table, and that's why this was a real battle. But that never happened with Haynes. He started camp good, and over the course of the last 2 weeks, he's done nothing but get better, including culminating in Sunday scrimmage, which I wrote. Haynes was really good. And Calzada had thrown a pick 6 to Jalen Jones there at some point along the way. It was just, it's been Haynes in terms of, I don't think there's anything in that locker room. I don't think there's anyone that would disagree with the decision. And I think Haynes did a great job of going in and kind of finishing last year as QB2. The senior leaves, and Haynes King did what he set out to do, which is just go in there and perform and nail down the job. So, and the one thing we talked about too, guys, was throughout this, I continued to say, when they're wearing those green jerseys and you know what Haynes is capable of doing as a runner, and you watch him run 4.45 and lead the team in that category during the off season, there's that whole other element of what you can run QB run game with him just to practice it and work on it, but it's not the same. It's not the same, and that is a tantalizing, tempting aspect of his game that you knew Jimbo, Daryl Dickey, and the entire A&M locker room can't wait to see when Kent State and Colorado roll around here in the first few weeks of the season.
Billy, do you think that that athleticism, that speed, was the separating factor? I mean, if it's as close as Jimbo apparently indicated that it might have been, was that the difference, or did King, from what you understand, just have a better understanding of the offense?
I think it's both of those things, but I think it was close in that. I'm trying to say this the right way. Could it be close and obvious who the guy is at the same time? I just think Haynes, again, he day to day he performed, and it's kind of, you can break it down and say, because I don't think, my point is to answer that question, no, I don't think just because he could run better and that's such a threat, I don't think that was the differentiating factor. I mean, I think it was something that I always kind of in the back of my mind felt like, look, that's why it's going to be difficult for Zach to kind of overcome this. If push comes to shove and it's dead even, well, Haynes is the better runner. I don't think that is what ended up being the case. I don't think they sat there and were like, gosh, it's just dead even. But we know when games come around, King will do some scrambling, and that could help us early in the season. I don't think it got to that point of a decision. He played really, what I'm trying to say, guys, he played really well over these first couple weeks of camp leading up to the day, Jimbo kind of wanted to decide. And you think about why I keep saying today or yesterday, it's not game week yet, but they have 3 practices this week, and it's time, unless that battle was so tight that you could not decide yet, and you needed those extra practices to get it in. Unless that was the case, it only hurts you to not let a starting quarterback start getting reps with the ones for 3 extra practices before you enter game week. So, and especially when you've been rotating them throughout fall camp. I mean, at some point you got to let your projected starter work exclusively with the ones for multiple hours at a time for several days in a row. And if you weren't going to do that this week, then it wasn't going to happen.
Luch, how much of this is what the players were reacting to? Every time we heard them talk, there was a feeling that Haynes was the guy, the way they respond to him, the way he kind of was authoritative out there at the practice fields. How much of it is the players buying into what Haynes brings?
I see, again, I just think the bottom line of it is Haynes played like the number 1 quarterback. But I think what you guys are asking is valid because I don't think it's a question so much as it is, how big a deal is that going to be moving forward? You know what I'm saying? Like, right. I think that's all like, okay, he's the guy now. Yeah, it all plays in. When you look around, you say, you know how Jimbo has said several times, the players pick the quarterback, the team picks the quarterback. Kind of, he said that many times. Like, they'll let you know. All you got to do is watch how they interact, follow them. That's always been Haynes. From the day, I think dating back probably to when he was a little kid, but that is one of his strengths, and I think that's something that is going to be everyone's going to see this year big time is his leadership, and there's that kind of. I've compared him. Aggies won't like this, but he's faster. Okay, he's way faster, but I've compared him to Colt McCoy from that standpoint of you can just tell that the guys love him, the locker room loves him, that everybody that he interacts with, like he's just got that thing about him that you want a quarterback to have, that Pied Piper chip in his personality, and Haynes certainly has that, and he's had it from day one. I know that's something Jimbo and other program insiders mentioned very early. In fact, though, it's funny because I forget, you might remember, David, which player it was, but one of them had a little faux pas, or a little slip up, was it about a week ago, where they kind of said, they were asked a question, and everybody in the media room was like, oh, did he just say Haynes was a starter? And Haynes wasn't, but he's just been playing that good. He has. I mean, look, they're in a quarterback battle for QB1, and if you'd have asked me at any point, rate your top 5 players in camp, I think Haynes King, I know he would be in the top 5 2 weeks in, and I think if we'd been sitting there doing a day-to-day hot list, he would have been on it. Maybe that's something we need to do next year. Just no comment, and just at the end of, I'll just put out a hot list after every practice, and it'll be quick and easy, and people can just kind of follow it. And I know we've got some people on TexAgs. They'll start tracking day to day and have some kind of point system. I mean, we'll see if that's a new science or something. But if you'd have had that, then Haynes would have probably been on it most days. But he certainly would be up there. So when you're in the battle for QB1 and you're a top 5 performer on the team, I think you've got your answer. Griffin's out here thinking he sees Olin and Buck walking by or something out the front window.
Maybe he just likes Haynes.
No, and yeah, right. He's getting all fired up about the prospect of Haynes King and that 4.45 running around out there. But I think the other thing is, if I'm doing a hot list off yesterday's practice, by the way, I heard big day for Luchi Brown. Just something I had just put out an update, so didn't post just for that. But Luchi's had a couple people told me had a really good practice yesterday. So he's a true freshman, so he's kind of trying to figure things up and down there in terms of consistency, catching the ball, knowing what you need to be doing. But at times, and oftentimes, I would say, Luchi Brown has been pretty spectacular on the practice field. Yesterday was one of those days. So I think we're going to see him play quite a bit in the early parts of the season. A, to get him experience so he can be more of a factor moving forward, but B, also just to see what he can do at this point, because he certainly made them pretty curious to see what kind of impact he can have, because he's doing it out there against the A&M defense semi-regularly.
Billy, one final thing from me. So I know there's no way you can personally know this, but what do you suspect will be Zach Calzada's reaction? Because it's always important to have a backup quarterback.
Well, it's always important. It's especially important when he's the only other scholarship quarterback on campus, which is insane. Not insane. Unfortunately, it's become more and more common. But when you move Eli, and I'm sure he can be an emergency QB, but Eli's been working primarily at tight end, and there's a reason for that. He has a chance to be a better tight end than QB. So, it's particularly important for Zach and for the Aggies that Zach kind of handle that well, and I think he will. Look, like I said, I don't think in any way Zach Calzada would be, because he's not that kind of kid. And I also don't think he probably is sitting there being honest, going, "Man, I got robbed." I think Haynes won the job. I think he won it fair and square, and I think Zach knows he was given every shot, and I think Zach has known all along kind of his situation. And look, after this season, Zach Calzada has 3 years of eligibility, right? So I don't think the word transfer from people I know that know Zach, and I don't think the word transfer is in his vocabulary. To his credit, he has been like, "I'm trying to win a job," and you know what he is today? He's one play away from being the starting quarterback in the SEC West for a top 10 football team. He is one, game of struggles, or a couple weeks of struggles by King away from being a starting quarterback for a top 10 football team. So I think it's set up where he understands, like, look, I can worry about all that other stuff after the season. I don't need to do that right now. I'm the number 2 quarterback on a top 10 football team in the SEC. So with 3, by the way, and again, I don't think he's thinking along these lines, but with 3 years of eligibility remaining after this season. So if we're talking here, knowing just kind of what happens at the quarterback position, and I hate sitting here going, well, this guy didn't win the job, he's transferring. But on some level, that today's college football world, if you look at it, I mean, Calzada can go, hand pick a spot, start for a couple of years, 3 if he wanted to after this year. So he's in a fine position. But right now, I think he's focused on being the backup quarterback, and I would be shocked if he was doing anything else, because he's just like King. He's a team guy and has been really throughout this. So, and look, Zach Calzada will be a better quarterback at the end of this season, whether he plays or not, than he is right now. And the longer he's under Jimbo, and the longer he's a part of a championship contending program, the better and more attractive he gets as a quarterback, and the more he learns. And you look at him, like I said, a year ago to today, there's no comparison. I mean, he's come absolutely light years since I would say the end of last season, but really since the start of camp last year. And you have to remember, Haynes King winning a job today is a lot different than Haynes King winning QB2 last summer. And that had, I wouldn't say as much to do with Zach as it did Haynes, but that had something to do with Zach too, because he just wasn't ready entering his redshirt freshman season to nail down the number 2 job and beat out a true freshman. So I think this Zach Calzada was probably QB2 last year. If Zach would have been that, so that's how far he's come. It's just that Haynes has a chance, Olin, to be really special. I wouldn't have even said, with Johnny Manziel, I would have said the same and be like, let's wait and see what he does in a few games first, because that's the one thing we have to see is on 3rd and 8, can you make that right decision and fit that ball into Weidemeyer over the middle, or Chase Lane on 3rd and 8 against Florida for a 16-yard gain to set up the game-winning touchdown. Those things are what make a guy special, and you can't know that until you see a guy execute that kind of stuff in a meaningful game. So, but the thing I'm saying is Haynes has a chance to be that dude, and I think that's what's got everybody inside the building really fired up about his potential.
Luch, we appreciate you waking up early and coming on with us. Thank you.
I'm up. I'm heading out of town. So
that's right.
That's why I'm not going on with John and Lance. So you know those guys over there. I'm surprised you're not. Well, I guess you're doing your own show.
Well, they asked me like just a few minutes ago, hey, can you come in before you get to the studio? I'm like, I'm already here. I got here at 6:30.
I got a call from their agent over there yesterday, and I said, I'm not going to tell y'all where I'm going, but I'm going somewhere today. And phones work. I don't know if they know this. So if they get a break in there and they want reactions from some boots on the ground, here we are. But they're in Bright, though. I'd rather get reaction from the players personally right now myself. So I'll probably tune in and be flipping between y'all and them for as long as I can get Houston on my radio. I'm not fancy enough to look it up on my phone live while I'm driving. So I'll try it for as long as I can get Houston radio. And who knows, maybe I'm heading into Houston for all y'all know.
All right, Luch, we appreciate you, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys. See ya.
Billy Liucci there.
Billy Liucci.
On the BCSI hotline. We went super long on that first segment. My apologies to Louie over there. Like, hit the break. Big news here. We had to go into it. So we'll get OB's reaction, my reaction, your calls, and everything going on with Haynes King named the starter here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
This is The Zone. Aggieland's all sports station.
Hey parents, when it comes to your child's education, there's a lot to consider. No matter what you're searching for, search the Bryan Broadcasting Half-Price Tuition Program first. We've partnered with schools and learning centers throughout the area to get your students started with high-quality programs at half price. Right now, we're featuring half-price tuitions at Hopewell Classical Day School, Kingsgate Christian School, Southwood Learning Center, Kinder Music, and more. Half-price tuitions are first come, first served, and availability is limited. Go to halfpricebrazos.com.
Everyone in the Brazos Valley has a unique story to tell. It's a community made up of survivors.
He's going to have a full recovery.
He's got such a good attitude about everything.
Hard workers.
Everyone kind of had to pivot and look to see how things were going to change.
Visionaries.
That really drives that economic engine for growth within the Brazos Valley.
And just good people.
There are inspiring stories everywhere you look, and your local news team is dedicated to bring you more on KRHD News, connecting the Brazos Valley.
When your diesel truck or construction equipment needs DEF, WPI has the best price in town. Only $8.50 for 2.5 gallons. Regardless of your machine's make or model, WPI can help. From custom hydraulic hoses, O-rings to teeth, buckets and blades. Any part, filter, fluid, battery, or lighting is at your local WPI. Visit Jesse James at WPI's new location in Bryan, Highway 21 east at Marina Road, or click WPI.com.
The flagship station for Aggie Athletics is The Zone. Whenever the Aggies are playing, you can hear them right here at 1150 and 93.7 FM. Thank you to all our listeners and our sponsors for backing the Aggies all year long. Cooper's Old Time Pit Barbecue, Swarteman Flooring, Prosperity Bank, Hargrove Insurance, Park at Traditions Exceptional Senior Living, Cherry Rufino Broker Realtor with Coldwell Banker Apex Realtors, and Amarillo National Bank. Here's a big gig-em to all these sponsors. Listen to Aggie Athletics on The Zone 1150 and 93.7 FM.
For our military families, Americans can show appreciation through education.
Because of you, I will walk across the stage.
I can show my children that they can succeed at any point in their life.
I will be able to make a positive difference in the lives of other people.
I was able to achieve my dreams and work on eradicate some of the world's top diseases.
I was able to get the education that I always wanted.
Because of you, I will be paying it forward and serving my nation.
Join us at ThanksUSA.org.
The best is yet to come in College Station.
Chase Lane is in for a touchdown! Yes!
Head coach Jimbo Fisher and the Aggies are ready to rise to the top of the SEC.
Swing to Anias, he's in the end zone, a 6-yard reception.
Join us Saturday, September 4th. It's the season opener versus the Kent State Golden Flashes on your home for Aggies football, the Texas A&M Sports Network.
Listen to Aggie football on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Online at radioaggieland.com or tell your smart speaker to play Zone 1150.
All right, adjusting on the fly here. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. So the show was already packed. We're making some changes to the rundown. I will update you guys as that comes around. OB's going to do an extended go hour. It looks like we'll have him here through 9:20 this morning. We want to open up the phone lines throughout the first hour and a half of the show. If you want to be a part of it, you can call us up at 979-693-1150. That is the BCSI hotline. You can react to Haynes King being named the starter. You can also text us on the AMB text line, Real Texas Banking, 979-693-1150. All right, OB here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Billy gave us a lot to think about, but initially, none of us were surprised by this. Maybe surprised by when the news trickled out, right? You know, right around 7:40 in the morning, I think it was. But we kind of, I would say even as far back as April, right after the spring game, I think the feeling was Haynes was going to be the starter, and now it was confirmed by Jimbo.
Right. I think that, Billy said it. We always thought it was going to be Haynes, but then Zach Calzada apparently made so much improvement that it was no longer just a slam dunk. But, it was like Haynes was leading the horse race and another horse made up some ground, but never really showed that it was going to, catch and pass, right? So not surprised that it was Haynes King. Maybe surprised at how the news came out a little bit, but not surprised at all that it's Haynes King. I've watched him when he was in high school more than I would watch a typical high school player, just because, I'm from East Texas and I used to be the beat writer for the Longview Lobos. So I've always have a little special extra interest in the teams that I used to cover. And so I remember watching them in the state playoffs and on the state championship, and he was spectacular. Like Billy said, he's going to have to prove that he can make that play before 400,000. He's going to have to make that 3rd and 8. But all the physical attributes are there. His dad, he's grown up with football. His dad's the coach at Longview High School, all those things. So you just feel like this guy is going to be, like Billy said, that this guy's going to be special.
Yeah, there's something about him, and I know the Johnny football term is thrown around because of the versatility with his legs and stuff, but there is an X factor, if you will, about him. And I'll give Zach this credit right here. He made it a competition. Even though it felt like it was all going Haynes' direction, I think the fact that you have a very capable starting level backup quarterback that we'll probably see action early on. Somebody texted to ask Billy. That segment went so long I wasn't able to ask him some of your questions out there. But if we expect to see Zach play in these first couple games, then I would say absolutely I expect to see Zach play.
Well, not only do I expect him to play because I think they're going to have some big leads in the fourth quarter. And, it's always been, I've said this last week, it's not that anyone, especially Jimbo, cares about my philosophy, but I always thought it would be smart to bring in a backup quarterback to play a series or two when they matter. Only because, especially if you're up by a couple touchdowns, but only because if, God forbid, there is ever an injury or an illness, I think it just behooves you to have a quarterback that's actually played some meaningful snaps. And I know that Zach played a couple of years ago when as a backup to Kellen when he was a junior, but I don't know how many meaningful competitive snaps those were.
Yeah. I'm just glad now we know.
Yeah.
Right? We were waiting, and I think for more than anybody, the players, even though they felt it, who knows what Jimbo shared with the players leading up. But it's from the sound that we played earlier from the John Lance show in Houston, 97.5, it was that he spoke with Haynes last night, right? So if he spoke with Haynes yesterday, or I think he said yesterday, to me that is they may have felt that vibe, but it wasn't official. And now, all right, we know what we're going to battle with, who we're going to battle with, let's go. And you got a couple of practices before game week to get just everything ironed out.
Yeah, it's always best that everybody knows who's playing where and who's going to be, and then you don't have any questions. Now, to Billy's point, they may have already, the players may have already realized that this is the guy, and so they may just be shrugging. Oh yeah, of course he's.
Well, we heard it,
right?
We heard it. It's I think it was Isaiah Spiller who said it a couple of weeks back. Again, it doesn't mean that it was announced to the team. What it does mean though is they felt it. There's a certain way you carry yourself. I know Dalton loves when I play with a microphone during the show. It's one of his favorite things. In fact, he asked me to do it more often, so I'll do that. Let's do this. We went really long with Luchi early. Let's hit a break here, and then we will come back and get to your phone calls and your text messages. And I need to set the agenda for the show. We had breaking news off the top that I wanted to get to and get Luchi on right away. But right now, let's talk about the Association of Former Students. They do such a great job helping Aggies all around the world. I'm talking about current students, former students, you name it, they are doing it. They've been around for 140 years, over 140 years. And those gifts have empowered the association to be here, there, and everywhere. And that's the greatness of being an Aggie, right? Like, no matter what town you go to, you're going to find an Aggie. You could be wearing an Aggie hat somewhere in New York. You could be in Miami. You could be in Cancun. Wherever it may be, there's that special bond. And when you're part of the association, you're helping build that bond. You're help other Aggies out there. And for $100 a year, a little bit over $9 a month, you're going to get that decal, the plaque, the Texas Aggie magazine. Plus, you're continuing the oldest, most inspiring tradition of Aggies helping Aggies. To learn more about the impact of the association or get involved, make a gift, visit AggieNetwork.com/giving.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone. United Way of the Brazos Valley and Texas A&M School of Public Health have an opportunity to receive a grant to administer a new program where low-income residents can get to and from medical appointments with the assistance of volunteer drivers. Vote each day this week for their project to receive a $25,000 grant. Click the link at uwbv.org. Loss of a Spouse is a free seminar this Sunday from 4 to 6 at Peace Lutheran Church. Email Rhonda at peacelutheranbcs.org for more information. BCS Habitat for Humanity is hosting its annual Tees for Keys golf tournament Monday, September 13th at the Traditions Club. Tickets are online at habitatbcs.org. Every Monday and Friday at 11:55 on the Louis Bellina Show, don't miss the high school football update thanks to Kelly Burt Dozer. What is ahead or the weekend that was for Bryan, Rudder, Consolidated, College Station High, and the Brazos Valley. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Here's Brad Beard of Intercon.
I guess you've noticed how much your home's cooling bill has been recently. Perhaps there are rooms that are never the right temperature. There's a way to save some of that expense while adding security, reducing dust, pollen infiltration, create a quieter, more comfortable atmosphere, enhancing the beauty and value of your home. All of the above and more can be accomplished by letting your neighbors at Intercon replace your windows with premium Burris vinyl windows. Intercon is a locally owned and operated source of custom-made vinyl windows, which come directly from the factory to your home and are installed by Intercon full-time employees. Vinyl windows come in 3 colors and virtually any style or shape. Call us for a free no-obligation quote for your home. We present our products without any pressure sales tactics. We price jobs by opening and are happy to do the jobs in stages if requested. Compare our quality, reputation, and price, and you'll soon have Burris windows installed by Intercon in your home, too.
Whether you have new construction or an existing home, let the fine folks from Intercon help your home energy efficiency year-round. Call Brad Beard of Intercon today at 823-3639. That's 823-3639.
Our publications reach every corner of the Brazos Valley, and we want to partner with you in sharing your message with the community. You may recognize a few of our Bryan Broadcasting publications.
Best of the Brazos Valley.
Brazos Life, the annual manual.
Welcome home, Brazos Valley.
Brazos Family. Brazos Wellness.
Brazos Valley Bride.
Peace, Brazos Christian Life.
With the combined power of 7 magazine titles, 11 radio stations, and digital solutions, Bryan Broadcasting Publications can help you be heard. Call 979-695-9595 to learn more.
You can hear the Paul Feinbaum Show weekdays 2 to 4 here on the Zone. Presented by Polaris Fun Center. Paul Feinbaum is SEC Country, and Aggieland is SEC Country too. Join Paul weekdays 2 to 4 here on the Zone. Polaris Fun Center, where you can get a $500 rebate on any 450 or 570 Model A TV, or $2,000 cash back on a Polaris XP1000. Polaris Fun Center, where they sell and service fun, not tractors. The voice of the SEC, and you can hear Paul Feinbaum weekdays from 2 to 4 on the Zone.
Let's freaking go. I'm pumped. We knew who the quarterback was, but now I'm pumped. Let's go. Let's get the season started now. I'm ready to play right now. I'll play. Okay, they'll play, and I'll watch them. It is TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Here in the Rollo Insurance Studio, we had Billy off the top of the show to break it down. You got a thought, don't you?
No, I just thought, you said that about Billy. I said, now we know who the starting quarterback is. The next big question is, where's Billy actually going?
I don't know, man. He can listen to a Houston radio station. Is he going in that direction?
That sounds like.
I don't know. I think he's going to Victoria, Texas. That's my guess. I think that's his kind of town.
I could see him going somewhere to meet someone named Victoria, but I just can't see him going to Victoria, Texas.
What about Galveston?
Yeah, I can see that.
Galveston action.
But even though that's kind of a little bit beneath Billy, I think.
No. Okay. I don't know.
I think he demands crystal blue water like Cabo San Luis. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. We got bigger things.
Moving on. Guys, how do you feel about this? I want to hear from you. You can call the BCSI hotline, 979-693-1150. Haynes King named the quarterback. We expected it. Now it's official. Now let's go to war. Let's go. Let's go to battle here in Kyle Field against Kent State in a little more than a week. Gosh, it's literally a little more than a week. Cannot wait for that. If you want to text the show, you can as well on the A&B text line, 979-693-1150. So before we get to these text messages, my initial reaction to the news was, oh, now we find out, because we knew it was coming. And the other thing is, from what I've seen, again, we see 20 minutes, not that much to really break down film. He just came up, even though I saw him most of the time when I saw Haynes, he was running with the twos when I was there. I don't know if that was a deception thing or maybe, I don't know why. But whatever the reason was, he was always one of the first ones out of the little door that they run through, right? Mm-hmm. And there was a presence to him. Maybe I was looking for that presence, but I see a starting quarterback hitting a top 10 team, number 6 in the country, at the right time, and them going nowhere but up. And you bring up a great point about certain years that matter in this conversation.
Well, it's just a coincidence, I guess. But in 2000, I guess it was 18, Haynes King was junior quarterback at Longview High School, and he led them to the state championship. It was Longview's first state championship since 1939. Maybe he can lead Texas A&M to their first national championship win since.
I think, carry the 2 divided by 1939.
1939. So on January 7th, Isn't that the national championship?
That's
game?
right.
Maybe in Indianapolis we'll be partying like it's 1939.
We should. I mean, look, is it possible? I'm not trying to be fake, like excited guy, but I'm actually really excited now that we know. There's something about knowing and going.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that we, again, like you said, it's not like we're surprised about it, but now that it's official, now you're just ready to go. You knew who's going to drive. You had an idea who was going to drive the car. Now he's in there with the keys, and we're ready to take the trip.
It's kind of like, have you ever, and I'll use this example. I knew I was going to get an offer from TexAgs. My gut told me, I knew it was coming. There was a feeling. But the moment all right, let's start planning the show. And from that day in March, I think it was March 19th, I started planning the show. You planned before. Haynes has been planning for this moment since he arrived on campus. Now he knows, all right, there's a certain voice in the locker room. Mm-hmm. It stands out more. There's more authority. He was probably a leader already, but now he is truly a leader.
You can watch his high school highlights, especially his junior year. He won't tell me this. I saw him on a game against John Tyler on TV his senior year, and it looked like his shoulder was hurt because he didn't throw the same that he did it. But he's not the type to make excuses because I kept asking him about it. Some of his teammates kind of alluded to it that when I went up to Longview the day he signed. But he doesn't have the Zach Calzada cannon, but he has a strong arm. He's throwing the ball 50 yards in the air, hitting his receivers. But, God help a defensive end who makes the wrong move on a zone read, where I think Kellen struggled to see the zone read. Haynes can see it, and he can be by you so fast with that 4.55 speed or 4.45 speed that if you make a wrong move, it could be 50-yard touchdown or more. I was in Austin when Vince Young was the quarterback, and that was such a big play waiting to happen was the zone read when he would keep it and the defensive end is crashing down on Cedric Benson or Jamal Charles, and because you feel like you have to, and he keeps it, and it becomes a foot race. And I like Haynes King against just about anybody in a foot race.
Dude, who was it? Demas the other day saying, not Demas, it was A-Chain saying that he looked to his right when they're running and Haynes is right there. Not that Haynes is beating him in a foot race, but just that level of speed caught even A-Chain's eyes.
I think if A-Chain knows that he's the fastest guy, but if he will acknowledge your speed, you must be really fast. Right? If I'll acknowledge, I'm the king here, but I guess the guy in charge here, the king's the king. It's good to be the king. But and I'm waiting for all those good to be the king gifts to come out. But if a guy like A-Chain will acknowledge your speed, then you must be really fast.
All right. We have not said hello to Tori Esprevo in the News and Social Center. People are texting. Hi, Tori, how are you?
I'm doing
Actually,
great.
Let's just talk Haynes. Never mind. I don't care how you are. I'm kidding. You doing okay?
I'm doing great.
So I assume we're hearing from a lot of people excited about the starting quarterback, Haynes King.
Yes, the line is blowing up. I got a lot, so I'm just going to start reading from the top. Chase in Houston says, let's go. You just got this feeling about Haynes that he's bound for greatness. How can you not when you are a king? Tag and Taylor says, I'm 100% behind the decision and can't wait to see Haynes perform. I would have been behind the decision regardless because I trust Jimbo, and now I'm ready to roll with King. Gig 'em. Mike in Chattanooga saying Haynes King can be an elite quarterback. The next 2 years will be incredible. And then I have one from Brad and Brian saying, so we got our QB, but more importantly, who's going to wear number 12? And then let's see here. We have Texatico saying King QB1 is made by being pushed by Cal. Congrats, King. Thank you, Cal, for your hard work. Aggie Nation is at ease today, knowing if something goes down, we have a guy waiting that's more than capable.
Yeah, look, here's the deal. I think both quarterbacks are better for going through this quarterback battle, even if you don't think it was a legit battle. It was a legit battle because Calzada, all indications, all reports, all eyeballs have said he got better from the spring game to now, even before that, I should say, from when he stepped on campus. He made this a battle. Haynes has got a couple of intangibles that we have to see how they play out during a game. And he picked up the offense. He picked up the leadership role. He put himself in a different trajectory, but Calzada made it a battle.
From everything we've heard, that's true, and that should make you feel even better about Haynes King. It's one thing, hey, it's obvious he's the starter because he's the best guy because the other guys aren't very good. But if the other guys are playing well, but this is still the obvious starter, then it makes sense that he's raising his game as well. What's interesting to me about Haynes, I keep hearing about how the team responds to him. He must be a different personality once he gets on the field because he's really kind of a quiet.
From what we see, yeah.
Yeah, Archie Manning kind of understated type of guy. I don't know if you've ever talked to Archie Manning or seen him from the 60s. And, he's kind of all shucks.
Yeah. Almost like Eli, too.
Yeah. And yet, if the guys are following him, he must just have a completely different personality once he steps on the field.
Well, I think game recognizes game. And excuse me for being hip here, but you see when you play, there's certain players that stand out when you step on the pitch, you step on the field, the court. There's something about the way they carry themselves. There's certain way they practice. There's the practice habits part of it. There's the way they command a room, the way they talk. All those things, I believe, are what helped mold this situation for Haynes to be the starter.
I guess, but you can be really good and everybody know it, but and accept it and follow you because of that. But there's just something different about a leadership quality. I remember Johnny Manziel. Everybody knew how good he was. There was no doubt, and he could do some crazy things. But I can still remember him down 21 points, or maybe more against Duke.
Oh yeah,
and he's on the sideline talking and yelling, and people. I wonder if Haynes becomes that guy once he gets out on the field. He probably
hasn't trailed many times in his life.
You know what he did in that state championship game,
right?
And he brought his team back. That was a spectacular game.
Yeah. All right, we'll continue with this. OB's going to stick around for the first hour and 20 of the show. We're just moving some parts here to react to Haynes King being named the starter. Again, more text messages when we come back at 979-693-1150, the A&B text line, and the BCSI hotline. You can call us up there, 979-693-1150. It's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
This is the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
If you have a debit card, you're used to spending money. But what if your card actually ended up earning you money? That's not exactly normal, but that's what you can get at A&B. It's called Casasa Cashback Checking. Don't mind the weird name. What you need to know is that it's a free account with cash rewards. Use your debit card for everyday purchases, and we'll pay you cash back every month. If that doesn't sound like normal banking, well, guess what? We're not a normal bank. So contact A&B today and ask for Casasa or visit ANB.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Even though we're currently closed, you can explore the Bush Library and Museum from the comfort of your own home. Visit the museum exhibits, Presidential Pond, Barbara Bush Rose Garden, and more with our virtual tour. Check out our permanent exhibits gallery online to view over 100 new photos showcasing different areas of the museum. View our education page to learn about the newest learning resources for teachers and students, and game apps. Don't forget to follow us on social media to see photos of our traveling exhibits, programs, and updates to the museum. Visit bush41.org for more information.
The Bellucci Hour is back. It is back at the tap every Monday and Thursday at 6 p.m. thanks to King Ranch Saddle Shop. Join Billy Liucci of TexAgs, TexAgs.com, TexAgs Radio, and the Luchi Cast, along with Zach Taylor, the Infomaniac, and Sports Director of Brian Broadcasting. Monday, Thursday, 6 p.m. It's the Bellucci Hour, happy hour, and it's all thanks to King Ranch Saddle Shop. Let the Bellucci Hour get you ready for Aggie Football 2021.
The flagship station for Aggie Athletics is The Zone. Whenever the Aggies are playing, you can hear them right here at 1150 and 93.7 FM. Thanks to our listeners and our sponsors for backing the Aggies all season long. First Financial Bank, Bryan College Station Toyota, Rudy's Barbecue, Schulte Roofing, The Sleep Station, and Pioneer Steel. Here's a big gig-em to all these sponsors. Listen to Aggie Athletics on The Zone 1150 and 93.7 FM.
Today, millions of people all across America are building a life in recovery from addiction and mental illness.
helping themselves.
And helping each other, with friends, family, and community lending their strength and support.
Join the Voices for Recovery.
Together, we are stronger.
For 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral for mental and substance use disorders, for you or someone you know, call 1-800-662-HELP.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Football season is here, and your favorite sports talk pal has you covered. From the Writers' Roundtable each Monday at 5 to interviews with players and coaches to Kurt Bowles and Brett Zwerneman each Friday. And don't forget America's most loved football pick'em contest, Friday's Fearless Football Forecast Contest. Check out the website at chiphoward.com for the latest schedules and info. No sugarcoating, no sunshine pumping, just the facts. Weekdays from 4 to 6 on Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
Here we go. I love the off-the-mic conversations that get put on live air. Got OB telling me how great I am as a host. I appreciate you saying that before we start.
You are a good host, by the way.
About all that. It's fun. It is TexAgs Radio. I am RH1, radio host 1, I guess, on this show. Welcome into the program presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. So I have the YouTube page up in the background. It's usually about 5 seconds behind what happens in real life, right? So about 5-second delay there. And I'm just watching us, scramble to get back on it because it's been a packed morning, OB. I had a whole rundown set, right? And we were going to have the folks from Student Bonfire here in studio at 9 o'clock. We are adjusting that. I think we're going to have them at the end of the week now just to make time for all the breaking news that we had with Haynes King being named the starter. I will set the rundown for the remainder of the show. We'll still go through your text messages and your phone calls reacting to Haynes. But Gabe Bach going to join us. Usually he joins us at 10:35, but he is way too important for us at 10 o'clock, apparently. I got a meeting to go to, big realtor meeting, whatever. He's going to join us at 9:35, so we'll have Gabe. He'll react, obviously, to everything happening with Haynes. Ryan Bronner are going to join us as well with Recruiting Country at 10 o'clock. And my interview with Buzz Williams. I went to his office yesterday, had a really good conversation with him, enjoyed meeting with Buzz. We'll have that. Coach G also going to be joining us as well at around 9:20. So a loaded remainder of the program. And we still got to get into 21 and 21, which we will talk about the number 3 player. We'll do that presented by Factory Builder Stores in the 9 o'clock hour. So let's close up this first hour with more on Haynes King being named the starter. So I had a show topic idea, which was, after 16 practices, what position group do you worry about or are you concerned about? And in my head, I was thinking more the wide receivers, but not really concerned, just something I'm keeping my eyes on. Some people mentioned the quarterback spot. Now we know who the quarterback is. I think now that you know that, how does that play into the other positions?
Well, I think quarterback is still going to be a position of, I don't know if concern is the word, uncertainty, because until they actually do it, there has to be a certain amount of apprehension. There are sometimes guys that you don't expect, a lot of you don't know what to expect. They come out like a Johnny Manziel and they just blow you away, or Kenny Hill in his first game. You go, oh my gosh. Sometimes you really expect so much, and then you're in for a disappointment. Think about that guy from Auburn a few years ago, Johnson. Was it Jeremy Johnson?
That sounds right, yeah.
Or the guy from Georgia last year that never played, the transfer from Wake Forest. This guy's going to be this and this, and he never even plays. So until they actually go out and perform, I think there's always some apprehension at quarterback. There has to be. That said, I really am confident that and optimistic about Haynes King, and I think he's going to go out there and be a really good quarterback for A&M.
Yeah, I think he's going to be really good. So yesterday we had Connor O'Gara on the show, familiar with his work, and he has this prediction. A lot of people were upset with his predictions, but I don't care. He predicted that A&M would go 10-2, beat Alabama, but lose to Arkansas early on. And his reasoning for that was that Arkansas makes things tricky, muddies the waters against a first-time starter or a first-year starter. And he sees it. He's looking at a crystal ball. He's predicting that's what's going to happen. I think we don't know how Haynes is going to play out on the field, but knowing that he's been in big games before at the high school level, won a state championship, knowing he has dealt with as much pressure as you can deal with up to this level, I'm cool with it. Bring it, Arkansas. Bring it, everybody. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm only concerned about Alabama.
I'm always talking about the defensive coordinator, Odom, and what he can do. If I had a Noel Mazzoni as my offensive coordinator, maybe I'd be worried about being out-coached. But I'm going to take the team with the better talent.
And the better coach.
And the better coach.
Yeah.
So I'll say this. And I do appreciate Connor O'Gara's work, but I'll be glad to say, hey, Connor, let's put paychecks on that one.
Yeah.
You think he would take it?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not, because I think – but he did give A&M the edge over Alabama.
Yeah.
He did give us that. So, and I know some thinking is, how can you think that you'll beat Alabama at home but lose to Arkansas at a neutral site? It's the SEC. I guess that's the only way to chop it up.
Yeah. I think Arkansas showed great improvement, but let's not get crazy.
Yeah, it's not time to do that. All right, so when we come back, you're going to stick around for another segment.
Sure.
Yeah, we're going to do 21 and 21. We'll still react to Haynes King being named the starter. You guys knew it was coming. So thankful that you guys were listening this morning to break it all down and be a part of the show. We'll continue with your calls and your text messages. It is TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
You're listening to Aggieland, only all sports station. The Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
I'm 5'11", barely 5'4".
I weigh about 170 pounds.
Brown eyes, blue eyes,
brown hair, gray hair.
I'm a baseball fanatic.
I'm a wife,
a mom,
a sister,
and a grandfather. I'm a bodybuilder.
I'm a research analyst.
Small business owner.
Teacher.
Dance fitness instructor.
Film and television actor. I'm an office clerk.
I'm a copywriter.
I'm a veteran.
I have a prosthetic leg.
I have multiple sclerosis.
I have lupus.
Cerebral palsy.
Post-traumatic stress disorder.
I'm blind.
And I'm working in a job I love.
I love because I was given a chance.
Because I was given a chance
to contribute my skills and talents.
To show my disability is only one part of who I am.
Who I am.
Who I am.
At work, it's what people can do that matters.
For more information, visit whatcanyoudocampaign.org.
Get connected and be in the know with The Zone. Follow us on Twitter.
From WTAW, I'm Chelsea Reber with a news update on The Zone. A local manufacturer plans a $7 million expansion that will add 150 jobs, earning an average wage of $18 to $50 per hour. That's one of two economic development agreements the Bryan City Council approved yesterday during a special meeting.
CC Creations plans to start construction in the next 12 months on a 150,000 square foot facility in the Bryan Business Park. City will give CC Creations grants totaling $630,000, waive up to $30,000 in permit fees, and ensure access to city electric, water, and sewer. The City Council also approved a deal giving the Bryan Business Council up to $17 million over the next 13 years to buy and develop land along Highway 47 and between Highway 21 and Raymond Stotzer Parkway. Bill Oliver, 1620 94.5 WTAW.
The superintendents of Bryan and College Station ISDs both say there is no threshold of pandemic cases to cause schools and or extracurricular activities to be shut down. But Bryan Superintendent Christy Whitbeck told reporters Monday that staffing could become an issue.
There's only so many substitutes in Brazos Valley, so this is why we really do want to encourage the masks at this time, because we know that closure will most likely be due to an adult not being able to be in the classroom.
Bryan ISD reports the pandemic is affecting 14 employees and 55 students. Before the start of Texas A&M's home football schedule, downtown Bryan's LaSalle Hotel is again open to all 55 rooms. Temporary authority was given to the owners by the city's Building and Standards Commission. This follows repairs after the LaSalle was declared an unsafe structure in April, which allowed only 5 rooms to be booked. A College Station police search of homes in College Station and Bryan on Monday led to the discovery of a variety of drugs. The owner, 23-year-old Preston Todd, is being held without bond. His girlfriend, 24-year-old Alexandria Fontes, is held in lieu of bonds totaling $39,000. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Question: would you pick a chain barbecue place over a hometown joint? Do you root for East Coast universities instead of the local team? Nah, then why choose a big Wall Street bank? A&B started in 1892. 5 generations later, we're still owned and operated by the same Texas family. We support this community. We value your privacy. We make quick decisions, and we hate red tape. We answer to you, not Wall Street. Bank with A&B. Family owned, Texas proud. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
When your diesel truck or construction equipment needs DEF, WPI has the best price in town. Only $8.50 for 2.5 gallons. Regardless of your machine's make or model, WPI can help. From custom hydraulic hoses, O-rings to teeth, buckets and blades. Any part, filter, fluid, battery, or lighting is at your local WPI. Visit Jesse James at WPI's new location in Bryan, Highway 21 east at Marina Road, or click WPI.com.
Good morning, sports fans. I'm Zach Taylor with your Aggie Sports Minute on The Zone. This Sports Minute is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500. Click HilcoSupply.com. Texas A&M football had a program best 9 season coaches team. The list is led by first-teamers Isaiah Spiller, Jalen Wademeyer, and Kenyon Green, with defensive lineman DeMarvin Leal and special teamer Anais Smith making the second team. Now, Smith was also pegged as a third-team wide receiver and all-purpose player, while safety Leon O'Neal was named third-team defensive back. Now, speaking of O'Neal, the senior from Cyprus is one of the more vocal players on the Aggies roster, especially on social media. However, Coach Jimbo Fisher says he's all business when it comes to on the field.
He has a chip on his shoulder. A lot of guys do. But the one thing about Leon, you always know he loves ball. No matter what, how Leon, I always tease him whenever he talks. But at the end of the day, one thing is for sure. And it's not by word of mouth. It's by what his actions are. His workouts in the off season, his workouts during the season, him on the field, his energy level, his competitiveness. I mean, the one thing about Leon, he loves ball. It means a lot to him. It's very important to him.
O'Neal has played in every game since arriving in Aggie Land in 2018, including 20 starts over the last 2 seasons. And that's been your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. On The Zone, I'm Zach Taylor.
The flagship station for Aggie Athletics is The Zone. Whenever the Aggies are playing, you can hear them right here at 1150 and 93.7 FM. Thank you to all our listeners and our sponsors for backing the Aggies all year long. Cooper's Old Time Pit Barbecue, Swartman Flooring, Prosperity Bank, Hargrove Insurance, Park at Traditions Exceptional Senior Living, Cherry Rufino Broker Realtor with Coldwell Banker Apex Realtors, and Amarillo National Bank. Here's a big gig 'em to all these sponsors. Listen to Aggie Athletics on The Zone 1150 and 93.7 FM.
It is TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Always fixing the microphone at the worst time, because I just don't know where I'm going to line up. We're here at the Rollo Insurance Studio, hanging out with OB for an extended go hour for another 15, 20 minutes or so. OB, I don't know if you were paying attention to the first hour, but apparently the Aggies named the starter. I don't know if you heard about that.
I did. I heard something about a king.
Yeah, the king has been named the starter.
It's good to be the king, OB.
It's good to be the king.
So we were expecting to hear that sound from you, Dalton. You just showed me one of the scenes. I do remember seeing that before. Mel Brooks.
Such a good movie.
So, he has been named the starter. If you want to react to it, we'll do another segment of that here. 979-693-1150 is the number to call the BCSI hotline, or you can text the A&B text line. We'd appreciate that as well. And that number is 979-693-1150. So, OB, we're about to get into 21 and 21 and how the quarterback plays into it. I'm just curious. When you have we had a question about what kind of play calling did Jimbo have that first year when they won the national championship with Jameis? But I'm curious, when you have such a great running game behind you, you can be more conservative and still because that was their formula last year. Run it down their throats. They can still do that, but experiment a tad bit with what makes Haynes so dynamic.
Yeah, I think that they will, as I've thought about this, I think with Haynes that they're going to – I think early in the year they're going to do some things, throw downfield more, because the way I look at it is later in the year when you start playing the big games, you're going to have to make big plays. I don't know, as good as A&M's running game is, that you can just go into a game against Alabama, whoever, and say, okay, we're going to run and win this game. I can think back on LSU when they had guys like Leonard Fournette, and they're running up and down. They'd play Alabama, and he'd get 40 yards, if that. So you're going to need to be able to throw deep and do all kinds of things. So I would think, especially in these early games that you're going to win, that you're going to do those things to show that you can and to work on it, to get Caleb Chapman deep, to do some different things with Anias and Chase Lane and the double tight ends and all those kind of things. Because number one, to work on it, show your guys you can do it, but show the guys that you're going to be playing later that we can do that too. So don't just load up on thinking you're going to stop the running game to beat us.
So on the A&B text line, Joshua asked this question: will King be better than Mon was last year? And I'll just give you my quick thoughts on that, and then you tell me what you think, OB. I think he will be better, but it doesn't necessarily mean it'll probably be more turnovers, but different better. Like there's a different better to what he will bring to the team. Not, Kellen was a safe player. I think Haynes will take more chances.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head when you said different. I will say that, no, I don't think he'll be better than Kellen overall, because Kellen was a 4-year or 3.5-year starter.
Right.
You're asking a guy and a third-round draft pick, right? You're asking a guy who hadn't played really significant college football yet to come in and be better than a guy in his first season than a guy who is a third-round pick. Now, does it happen? Yeah. A&M 8 years ago replaced, or 9 years ago, put a guy as a redshirt freshman out there, replaced a first-round pick and was better. But if you just assume that, then you get to that point of saying, well, the first guy wasn't that, we're talking about Manziel, obviously, wasn't that special. Could he be? Yeah, but he's going to be different. I do think he's going to throw more deep balls than Kellen did. I do believe that he'll run the zone read or whatever running plays they put together for him. I do believe he'll be a bigger threat than Kellen was. I do believe that there are plays that when he has to run out of the pocket, that he will be less apprehensive to just tuck it and go like Kellen was. There are a lot of 10 and 20-yard gains that Kellen just didn't take advantage of because he's probably coached not to.
And they'll be different better in the fact that he doesn't have to be Kellen. This team potentially is better than last year's team. So he doesn't have to put all that on his plate with the backfield, with the offensive line hopefully gelling the way, and the defense perhaps even being better than it was last year.
Yes, you're right. But if he can go out there and if he can be in his game, at least Kellen's equal, which I think he can. Maybe not in his game. That could be less passing yards, more rushing yards. But just the same guy that moves the team.
Right.
But maybe there's a few more big plays. I think there will be a few more big plays. So I think he could be as big a factor.
All right, it is now time for 21 and 21, presented by Factory Builder Stores, number 3, celebrating over 30 years as the largest contract distributor in Texas. Factory Builder Stores can serve builders and general public with locations throughout Texas, including right here in College Station on Old Welborn Road and Rock Prairie, just on the west side of the railroad tracks. Go see our friends Jason and John. They're going to take great care of you for all of your appliance needs. OB, number 3, one of the best running backs in all of college football, Isaiah Spiller.
Yeah, it's funny. We were doing this last year. We talked about Isaiah Spiller. I think we had him about 6 or 7. I can't remember exactly. But I remember saying, as a freshman, Isaiah Spiller proved that he was good. The next step is we find out just how good. How good is he? Well, we found out he's really All-American good. I mean, he's an All-American candidate, a legitimate one. He was All-SEC last year, and that's without the stat padding games, he didn't get to play Ole Miss. Had he played Ole Miss, he would have rushed for maybe 1,300 yards. Might have led the SEC in rushing had he got a chance to play Ole Miss. I don't know what Isaiah Spiller doesn't do. Does he have just elite speed? No, but I saw him run for a 55-yard touchdown against LSU. I think it was 55. Might have been 50. Might have been in that neighborhood.
In that ballpark.
But the fact of the matter is he broke away and had a long run. I saw he didn't have the touchdown, but I saw him have about a 50-yard run against South Carolina. So he's definitely fast enough to have, to make big plays. I mean, he's not a plotter by any means, but he cuts so well. He can run with power.
He runs like, and maybe somebody made this comparison on the air. He reminds me of Arian Foster, the way he cuts, the way he the long strides.
Luchi has said that, and I can see it. And the thing that he blocks really well. And man, does that guy catch the ball out of the backfield?
He can do it. You know what I love about his game? In a way, he's a throwback running back where he can run between the tackles, and he runs very well against the. But he can also go out wide. He can take it at any level, and he's just so powerful. When you see him run, there's the level of gravity. Even though he's 6'1", 220, 230, whatever he may be. Just a burst and a power when he gets through those tackles.
Yeah, and it's funny. Remember, it wasn't until the second half, I think, against Vanderbilt, where we're like, maybe that should be the starting running back. Right. And then it was after, I can't remember, maybe it was the Florida game, but it seems like he started at running back then, maybe not. But it was like, you got to get Anias and Spiller on the field at the same time. Alternating them. Yeah. Is not the best way to get all your talent on the field. And he just blew up. Again, what is that? He rushed for 1,036 yards last year in 9 games. He had some injury issues again. He was about to have a historical game against South Carolina. And then he got hurt, I think, at the end of about a 20-yard catch, if my memory serves, right there in front of the A&M sideline. But there's a play, and I think it's against Arkansas, where they throw maybe about a 40-yard touchdown pass to Anias, and Kellen had to step up away from the rush, and Isaiah it comes in and knocks the guy who's pressuring him out of the way. That touchdown pass doesn't happen without Isaiah stepping in and making the pass protection block. So he's a complete back. He's more of an NFL back even than a college back. Absolutely. Because the NFL likes those guys that just kind of shift between holes and they barrel forward for 5 yards. And the college guys, they're looking for the big play all the time. He has big play ability, but he runs with power and he's just a complete back. And any of those that don't say he's I saw, what was it? Somebody had a list. He wasn't on the top 8 in the nation or even the SEC. That's just showing your ignorance. Start paying attention to what's going on. There's nothing that Isaiah Spiller doesn't do that doesn't just scream, or I should say that everything he does screams elite running back.
You mentioned after, I think it was the Vanderbilt game, you had to find a way to get Isaiah and Anias on the field at the same time. This year you have that, plus you really got to find a way to get A-Chain out there. So technically you got to have all 3 out there and think about the mismatches that creates. And anyway, if you split out Anias wide, if you put him in the backfield, I don't know, what if they did 3 in the back? I don't think they will, but my point is those 3 guys having to find ways to get them on the field at the same time, it opens them all up.
Yeah, we're talking about Haynes King's speed. You just made a case for Jimbo going to the wishbone.
Why not?
put Spiller at the fullback, and then
let's go.
It'd probably work, but no, I think you're right. I think you'll see that, and then when they shift with Isaiah going to a slot or A-Chain, and maybe he's going to go wide, and you've got to put maybe your linebackers in there because you got to guard against the run. Right. I think you're going to see a lot of defensive coordinators call timeout.
Oh, we're going to see that the first weekend against Kent State. We're absolutely going to see that. Look, he's I think kind of like we said about Jalen Watermeyer, that I think he's a first-round talent. We'll see, because running backs in the first round are obviously not it's not a...
Travis Etienne wasn't a first-round pick.
Right.
Travis Henry wasn't a first-round pick. Not
Derrick
Henry.
Yeah.
Well, there was a Travis Henry, too, and he wasn't a first... Actually, he might have been.
Yeah. But he is a first-round talent. He might be the first running back taken off the board, and I could love to see him go to a one-cut system like what the Broncos used to have, what the Texans had with Gary Kubiak. When Billy, and I'm glad you reminded me, when Billy compared him to Arian Foster, I see that one-cut style working so well at the next level for Isaiah.
Yeah, I think that's something that you don't appreciate enough unless you see him all the time, is the cuts he'll make. But I have seen him. He's a one-cut guy because he's strong. He can make that cut, and then you've got to find a way to slow down that momentum of this guy. But I have seen him be able to make more cuts downfield. Again, everything about his game screams elite running back, and he is an elite running back.
Obi, I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for reacting to Haynes. Any final thoughts before we hit break?
Just, there's so much talent on that offense that I think people say it's a Swiss Army knife. It's a smartphone.
It's a smartphone.
There's a lot of apps,
and you can do so much with it. And it's good to be the king.
It's good to be the king.
It's good to be the king. All right, guys. You know who else is king? My buddy Chance McClain. He's king of making great stories. He's a documentary maker. He's done it all. He's run a radio station. In fact, the one we heard sound from, he was the original program director out there. He has made Broadway musicals, movies, and now he's doing it with yourheritagefilm.com with Heritage Films. Chance will do a documentary about your family, your boss, your neighbor, somebody who's very important to you. Let's get those stories on digital, on tape, as they used to say. Let's see it, and let's see it in a first-class A&E biography channel kind of feel to it. That's what Chance does. He's doing first-class videos, and he's going to interview whoever it may be. It's going to be my dad here come October. He's going to interview him. He's going to find out everything he needs to know. He's going to get the pictures. Then he's going to take about 2 months to put this whole story together. And we're going to have a documentary that we can share with our kids and their kids and their kids to live on, to tell their stories from their youth all the way through. Some of the most important, precious moments of their life will be shared here. And Chance is the guy to do that. You've got to check him out. yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341. yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341.
You're listening to The Zone. Aggie Land's all sports station.
We think it's time for a laugh. Brian Broadcasting and the Nikki Peterson Talent Network present Good Clean Fun, a comedy night with Carrie Pomeroli.
So you guys, yes, I am a member of the Mommy Mafia. I have 2 kids. I have a 4-year-old and a good one.
Hollywood's favorite clean comedian is live in College Station Friday, September 3rd at 7 p.m. at Skybreak Church.
I was in the Zumba class, and there's this teacher, right? And she's all cute and sassy, and she's like, shake what your mama gave you. I'm in the back are going, my mama gave me sciatica and allergies.
Bring your friends, bring a date, bring anyone who's ready for a good time.
You guys, who's happy just to be out of the house? Really? Right?
Good Clean Fun, a comedy night with Carrie Pomeroli, September 3rd, presented by Nikki Peterson Talent Network. Be discovered. Thanks in part to our sponsors, Strata Auto Repair, Mark's Manny's Appliance Repair and Cleaning Service, Dirt Road Rustics Furniture and Home Decor, Buff City Soap, Soap Makery, and Longway Home Adoptables. Tickets, VIP, and group packages available at brianbroadcasting.com.
You and your phone have been through a lot this past year. It's been your lifeline to the world. And now some big wireless company is telling you got to buy a new phone from them and sign their contract? They don't control you. With TracFone Wireless, you can keep the phone, number, and network you already have. Already got a 5G phone? Keep that too. Because TracFone runs on America's best networks now with 5G nationwide. Plus, we've got unlimited talk and text smartphone plans starting at just $20. TracFone Wireless. Now you're in control. 5G nationwide access requires a 5G capable device. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Our publications reach every corner of the Brazos Valley, and we want to partner with you in sharing your message with the community. You may recognize a few of our Bryan Broadcasting publications.
Best of the Brazos Valley.
Brazos Life, the annual manual.
Welcome home, Brazos Valley.
Brazos Family.
Brazos Wellness.
Brazos Valley Bride.
Peace, Brazos Christian Life.
With the combined power of 7 magazine titles, 11 radio stations, and digital solutions, Bryan Broadcasting Publications can help you be heard. Call 979-695-9595 to learn more.
What if the music stopped? If the familiar voices were silenced? If there were no breaking news updates? What if your companion and connection to your community came with a monthly fee? Don't worry, we're free local radio with you wherever you go, celebrating 100 years and looking forward to the next 100. We are broadcasters. Text radio to 52886 and let Congress know you depend on your local TV and radio stations. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
You can listen to Aggie football, basketball, and baseball on your Amazon Dot or Echo. Step 1, say, Alexa, enable Zone 1150 skill. Step 2, anytime you want to hear fighting Texas Aggie football, Texas A&M women's basketball, or Aggie baseball, all you have to do is say, Alexa, play Zone 1150. It's that simple to listen to your favorite A&M teams that play on the Zone with your Amazon Dot or Echo. Make sure to say one time, Alexa, enable Zone 1150 skill. Then say, Alexa, play Zone 1150.
TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio, reacting to Haynes King becoming the starter for Texas A&M. We knew it was coming. We felt it was coming. Now it is official, and let's go get it. Let's go get that season. Let's go get that national championship. There's something about being named the starter to me. It's just like, all right, all the cards on the table. Let's go. Let's get started. I'm ready for them to play right now. I'm so pumped about it. And it's not like we didn't expect it coming, but I am pumped because now it's like it's official. The team is ready. The mindset's ready. They're going to go take this game week practice and get ready for Kent State and figure everything out as you get into SEC play here right afterward. You know, you got the Colorado game, obviously the New Mexico game, Kent State, and then it's go time. Now we know who it is. Let's go get it. Also, I'd like to say happy birthday to my buddy Philip Vargas. Turns 40 today. Congratulations to that, my man. Just 40. Gosh, you're old. So we got there. I'm like Gabe here. You know, I send shout-outs to my buddies on the air. That's what I do. Gabe's going to be joining the show here right around 9:35. But I got to catch up with Coach G earlier this morning before the show started, right before the Haynes King news broke. And as they get ready to host Clemson this weekend, here's Coach G breaking it down on the BCSI hotline / actually in studio. All right, it is TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio, joined by Coach G. Coach G, interesting start to the year, I guess is the way to phrase it. You guys have had some tough games. I've seen a lot of fight from your team. Just to give me your assessment so far.
Well, we knew coming in that we were talented, and you know we've got a lot of talent. Most of that talent is still teenage years. You know, and we went and we've taken on the number one toughest schedule in the country. And so it's one of those situations where we're like, okay, in our sport, you don't have to be undefeated to win the national championship. Unlike football, where we learned last year, you do have to be undefeated if you're going to be in the Final Four. But for us, it's about, you know, can we get better every day? Can we find what are the things that we have to do now that are going to help us when it gets to be time to really be going for that national championship, and even before that, for another SEC title. So, you know, we go on the road to number one, which is, I mean, they're not just number one; they're arguably one of the best 3 teams ever put together in college soccer. So, for us to unfortunately come out of there losing 1-0 in the last minute of the game, that was disappointing. But my players they fought, they battled, they were great. And then Alabama went in there a couple days later and got thrashed 4-0. Then we go to TCU, another top, you know, they're number 6 in the country, in front of another record crowd for them. And you know, same thing. We didn't play well they played really well, and they deserved to get the result. It's unfortunate that we gave up the 2 screwy goals that we don't typically do. So we lose again 1-1 goal, 2-1, and that was it's losing sucks. Don't get me wrong, and we don't do it very often. But it is one of those things where, all right, we feel like we know where we are, what we've got to be doing. This week is a focus completely on us. We have another top 10 team coming in to open our home schedule. And again, this is all. I wouldn't have scheduled these games if I didn't think that we could be in these games and win these games. And home field advantage is usually good for 1 goal, and unfortunately, we lost by 1 goal to the home team in those other 2 games. So we've got to keep the players positive and keep the players looking forward, but also keep the players looking within themselves to get a little bit better.
Yeah, the goals this year that you guys have given up all really have been fluky. One at the end of a game, the last goal in the TCU game, a redirect. I don't even know. She was surprised it went in.
I don't even know if she touched it, but it was just, we've scored goals like that too. So I can't say that, and again, they controlled the possession. TCU controlled the possession probably 55-45 in the match, and we just weren't good enough. Now, would we like to play them again? Yeah, absolutely. Would they like to play us? Maybe not. I don't know. But we played this game in August because these are the types of teams that we have to play and have to beat when it comes to be November in the NCAA tournament. So we just need to right the ship. We've got a lot of big, tough games still ahead of us. Again, Saturday night is arguably the toughest of the remaining games until we get into the SEC. So Clemson comes in as an undefeated team. They won their first game 8-0, 4-0 in the game on Sunday against Loyola of Maryland. Now they haven't played the competition that we've played, but they are an Elite 8 team from last year, just like we were. They knocked off UCLA last year, which was a huge, huge result for them. So they'll be, and they play in front of big crowds occasionally at their place. Their men's program is one of the elite programs in country. Eddie Rodwanski, who is their head coach, does a fantastic job. He's got great energy and really knowledgeable guy, former professional player. So it has all the makings for Saturday night to be a really great, not just a spectacle, but a great match.
Focusing on the offense, you guys were struggling initially to get some offense going, but then you were able to, Taylor, I believe, is the one who scored to make it 2-1. Just talk a little bit about getting that offense going.
Well, we were without 4 forwards. That can have an effect on 3 of them were starters. So, it's got to be a next up type of mentality that we have. Unfortunately, Anderson Williams did her ACL, so she's probably out for the season again. She is out for the season this year. Lainey Carroll wasn't available. Natalie Abel was sick. We had another player who was out, Allie Russell. So we hope to get Abel and Russell back this week. That will help us. But really, as much as anything, it's just kind of getting ourselves. We start a lot of freshmen on the team. 3 freshmen are in our attack, and we're trying to get ourselves kind of that timing and get on the same page. One of the differences between this year and last year was last year the season was paused for a month. That gave us extra training time, which was really valuable for us in a year where we started 5 freshmen. Well, now we're starting 3 freshmen, and we've had 2 weeks so far. So we've got to, we just got to up the tempo just a bit, but at the same time play within ourselves. And that's, I think, some of the things that a young team will do sometimes. They'll force play, and we won't have that rhythm that we like to play with.
You touched on it earlier, but having these games, it'll make you better later on when SEC play comes around and obviously later on.
Of course. I mean, if we were – I can put together a schedule where we could go completely undefeated, win every game by 7 goals. But when we get to the SEC, it's going to be a rude awakening when we walk into any of our venues in the league. So it's important that we play. If we want to be the best, you've got to be able to beat the best. And to beat the best, you have to expose, especially a young team like we have, you have to expose them to what these standards are. And we've talked about this before, but this is where we are right now. We're in a point where we know we have a lot of players who have won the league. We have a lot of players who have been 1 goal away from being in the Final Four last year. So what can we do to use that experience to gain as much experience as possible with our new players like Micaiah McDonald, who's been just, breathtaking in the way that she's played. unfortunate that we didn't get a good call in Tallahassee on a ball where a girl knocked the ball down, one of Micaiah's shots down with the elbow. But, we will turn those breaks to all be ourselves.
Let's talk about the Fish game every year. It's a packed house. Just the kind of atmosphere you expect this weekend.
Well, we're expecting it to be absolutely electric. There's two events going on in coordination with this particular game. So, number one, it's the first athletic event at Texas A&M, and as history has dictated for more than the last 15 years, that is when all the freshmen who have gone to Fish Camp, in July, this is a reunion for them to get back together. It's their first opportunity to be at a Texas A&M sporting event, their first opportunity to be the 12th man. And here we are, the 100th anniversary of the 12th man. So and it was the biggest population of kids that went to Fish Camp this year. So we think that it'll be a big, big night as far as freshmen coming. Yell Eaters will be there. All of the pomp and circumstance hullabaloo band will be there to add a little bit of tempo and rhythm to what the crowd's doing. But then in addition to that, we've got a big youth tournament that is going on here in town. The challenge is put on the Aggieland Friendlies. Again, this is something that we've been doing for more than 20 years. And we've got about 140 teams coming to Bryan College Station, which will be a nice little shot in the arm for our local economy. We've sold more than I think we've sold more than 3,100 tickets to the game from just that. Now at TCU last Sunday, and typically wherever we go, we set the new attendance record for whoever we're playing, which is a lot of Aggies. So at TCU, they had, I think, a little under 3,000. Well, we've sold already more than that just to people coming in from out of town, in addition to being sold out with our season tickets and having so many of the freshmen and the student body coming. So you pack all that into a stadium that seats 2,600, and it'll be rocking and rolling. It should be a great game, and you've got two teams that really like to play, and it'll be a fast-paced, really, really competitive game.
Appreciate you, G. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks, sir. Have a great week.
You too. All right, there it is. Coach G here. Thank you so much for coming in as they get ready for battle against Clemson this weekend. Gabe Bach is in the house. He's got his highlighters. He's got his game face on. We'll talk some Haynes King with him. But right now, I'm going to talk about Milliken Reserve. That's right. If Haynes King needs to zen out before a game, I would suggest he goes out to Milliken Reserve. They're a farm-to-table community in College Station where they got trails, they got homes, they got farms, they got wide open spaces, and their mission is to build a healthy community around nature. My wife went the other day to check out some of the yoga classes they have out there, and she had a great time. It's just a beautiful environment. We're talking nature, we're talking beauty, we're talking 30 miles of trails, homes, 2,600 acres of open space. They've got the landscape, they've got the wildlife, an extensive network of trails, though. I'm going to tell you guys to check it all out. They are committed to maintaining and restoring that natural habitat. Go check out Milliken Reserve for everything. If you're into hiking, biking, canoeing, kayaking, just want to live in a great community, just want to hang out and just see nature, that's the place to go. They've got their annual Pumpkin Palooza returning October 16th through 17th. You can learn more at millikenreserve.com. That's millikenreserve.com.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. Stage Center Theater wraps up its season with Pure as the Driven Snow. Performances run through this weekend. Purchase tickets online at stagecenter.net. Hundreds of books geared to young readers will be on sale this Saturday at the Clara B. Mounts Library in downtown Bryan. Doors open to members of the Bryan College Station Friends of the Library at 9 a.m. and to the general public at 10 a.m. Trail Life USA Troop 1836 is hosting an open house on Tuesday, August 31st. Find Trail Life Troop 1836 on Facebook for more information. The Brazos Valley Beekeepers Association invites you to their one-day bee school on Saturday, September 25th. Visit bvbeaks.org for more information. It's the pregame show. End the week and start the weekend when Bryce Jones joins the Louis Bellina Show every Friday at 12:05 to talk maroon and white and more. The gang is back together weekdays from 11 to 2. I'm Chelsea Reber on the Zone.
Since solar screens have continued to be a popular solution for making your windows more efficient, Intercon has added several new choices to our solar screen line. Many customers like the idea of the heat and glare protection benefits of solar screens, but are hesitant to cover up the glass patterns in their windows. We now offer the option of grids over the solar fabric to match those on the windows. regardless of the style or shape of the windows. Another option with Intercon is to install roll-up solar shades inside of the home or business. These shades are available in several colors. With these, you get the flexibility of letting heat in during the winter and shading it out during hot weather. By popular demand, Intercon has added several colors of solar fabric available in your choice of 70, 80, or 90% heat blockage. Of course, Intercon still